Hi, welcome to this channel on magnetic energy technology principles applications. This video is about anti-gravity and barometric pressure modification. It's like, whoa, why are you combining those two concepts? This is highly unconventional information, unless, of course, you work in a top secret lab. And these two topics actually they've been doing experiments and research and developing technology on both of these topics for decades. And it's very important to understand that these barometric pressure and anti-gravity are fundamental to the magnetic technology that I talk about and to the magnetic units. Essentially, in every unit, we are modifying gravity to some degree and barometric pressure to some degree. Now, those things are separate in this model. Those two mechanisms, or those two circuits, or if you want to call it barometric pressure and gravity, they're essentially different circuits. So they take different pulse rates to modify. So, like for example, in this model, like gravity on this planet, and it varies from planet to planet to planet. But on this particular planet, around 21,000 neutral magnetic pulses per second will create anti-gravity effects. Now, as you go up more or down more, depending on this, if you raise or lower the speed of those, you will create different effects. So you can have variations of anti-gravity, which is hugely important, as you will see. And I'll just give some of the reasons why, or the applications that are going to happen with this in the future, so you get an idea of how critical these things are for life on this planet and for the future of the human race and everything. And it's the same thing with barometric pressure. You engage in that process, and so let me back up. So the anti-gravity circuit will go out, it extend from the outer ionosphere or even beyond that into space, and then go out down into the earth, and it has certain pulse rates. There's a push-pull phenomenon. There's like separate forces, and I go into way more detail on different videos on this. But then the barometric pressure concept, we're talking about like a relationship between the ionosphere and then like an upper energy rim and then a lower energy rim inside of the earth, and those two communicating with each other. And like Nikola Tesla used to say, like opposing polarities, and to some degree this model would concur with that there's a flow of energy. Now, there's different pulse rates in barometric pressure modification, and that's partly because it varies from moment to moment around the planet. And so the device is typically, now it's easy for a magnetic device to tune into that and to tune into what needs to change to create either higher or lower pressure in a given area. Now, like so top secret satellites now, for example, will modify weather, and they just, instead of trying to tune into a specific pulse rate, and they're using magnetic technology, they will just blitz it. They will just blitz a whole series of pulse rates. So no matter what they do, they kind of capture the overall idea, and then they can create the seeding. They can seed like a low pressure system, for example, or a high pressure system, so that they could, for example, seed the beginning of a hurricane, or seed the beginning of like what would eventually result in tornadoes forming. So it's a weather modification technology, but they're essentially using magnetic vortices to modify the barometric pressure to control weather and weaponize it and all kinds of crazy stuff. But it's a different circuit, so you're not necessarily going to modify gravity or change gravity as you modify the barometric pressure. So they're slightly different circuits, but they do coexist in the same system. And it's important to understand that, I guess, from the magnetic model point of view, so that you understand that multiple systems can coexist within each other without interrupting each other and without interfering with each other. Now, there may be a slight degree of overlap. Of course there will be. But then, and even in the gravity model, there are slight variations in the gravity field from time to time around the world. And then, of course, on other planets, there are different pulse rates for each circuit, essentially, with that covers the gravity circuit. So this is important because, like, in the future, agriculture is going to be influenced by this. That it will, with the modification of gravity and with the modification of barometric pressure combined with magnetic technology, and then of course higher consciousness, you will have unlimited water for crops. You will have growing conditions that will essentially, they'll optimize the nutrition in the plants. They will provide incredible plant resilience, the speed of growth of plants. Everything will be really at its peak level with this type of technology, and allowing the modification of pressure and gravity combined with the units is partly how that happens. It's how it really manifests in our physical reality. In the world of medicine, it's the same type of thing. This is like the future of surgery. It's the future of interdimensional surgery. It's the future of spontaneous regeneration, of cellular optimization, and really it is the end of cellular degeneration. And so you can think about the implications of that. And the reason that is because you can have certain devices or containment units that people will, like magnetic healing chambers, that people will go into, and inside of those chambers gravity will be modified. It will, and even barometric pressure will be modified to achieve certain results and certain precise surgeries or cellular regeneration. So it's interesting because gravity it interacts with every single system. So as you start working within different systems, and a system might be a plant or a tree or a human being or an animal or whatever it is, when you work within those systems, you need to modify gravity in order to change things in those systems and achieve the results that we need to achieve. Our power will be tremendously different, like our power system. So it'll be unlimited wireless power that actually produces beneficial energy fields for all life around the planet. And so just that alone will be a huge change in the power systems. And in that process, in that technology and in the devices that do that in the power plants, there will be a modification and then of gravity and slight modifications in barometric pressure as well in that technology. Transportation is a huge one. We're talking about like full anti-gravitic transportation, interdimensional transportation, teleportation, anti-gravity tech for personal use. So you get the idea. It will open up the doors to that. And not only that, but stronger gravity fields have really tremendous benefits, as well as lighter gravity fields. And so now, as far as manufacturing goes, it will be integral to the future of manufacturing processes that include like the replication of any items that we use for living, and any and all items for a very high standard of living. This could be the production of goods from etheric magnetic fields based on like anti-gravitic and pressure modification technology will be included in that process. This is the complete, we will see the complete decentralization of manufacturing, because individuals will have the technology that will enhance not only their own personal abilities, but just the actual devices that will formulate, reformulate, and deformulate all the goods that they need for high standards of living. And so that just gives you an idea of what will happen with this technology and what we are moving into the future. And this type of experimentation that's done in labs around the world and has been done for decades, and those type of experiments produce gravity anomalies and barometric pressure anomalies above and below those labs all around the world all the time. And it's just something that is not talked about, because obviously it can't be, because it's top secret. And so, but those types of technology produce these modifications of gravity and barometric pressure. While it's not just a byproduct of them, it is an integral part of how they do what they do. And so please send in questions about this and comments if you have any questions and comments about this, and I will try to touch on these topics as you guys request in the future. So thank you, and I'll see you again next time.